Hey, everybody, and welcome in to another episode of Vox and Jed Fight About It. The first episode where we actually get to use the monitor. The monitor is live to our guest, Jake Stone. How are you doing, Jake Stone? Welcome in.
I'm doing good. How we doing, Vox? How we doing, Jed?
Doing pretty good.
Yeah,
You know.
good shit.
Yeah. What's been life like for Jake Stone? What do you do? What do you?
Who are you?
know?
What do you do? Give us a little opener.
I'm Jake Stone. I'm a creator on Twitch. I've been doing this shit for not one, not two, not three, but 4 years. I'm a variety streamer. I do a lot of Minecraft. I do Balatro. I've been doing a lot of what have I been doing since I got here? Balatro mostly. Before I got here with the laptop, I would do a lot of. Let me check my Steam list. I play. I do a lot of Jurassic World Evolution. I would do a lot of Among Us, Wobble Dogs. Anything I could get my hands on, I'd stream. To be honest with you, just pretty much everything.
Variety streamers are good. Variety streamers are good.
Yeah.
I think you might be the first variety streamer we've had on, if I'm remembering correctly.
Not like just solely a Minecraft streamer. I think you might be the first person we've had on that fits that description. Yeah.
Balatro streamer. Balatro.
Yeah.
Big Balatro streamer.
Big Balatro streamer. I fucking love that game so much.
It's a great
Well,
game.
yeah.
It's really good.
I mean, I guess we'll get right into it. What made you interested in being a streamer?
So a while ago, I was chilling out at home. It was the pandemic, so you didn't have much to do.
Mhm.
And I saw a few of my IRL friends streaming. I was like, damn, nobody invited me to be a part of this. So I was like, okay, well, maybe if I start streaming, they'll invite me. So I start streaming, they start streaming, nobody invites me. I try and reach out. I'm like, hey, next time I'm available. They quit, and I'm like, well, shit. What am I supposed to do now with this channel? So I'm like, fuck it. Let's do it for another month. And we go for another month. And I'm like, shit, I like this. I kind of like this. And here I am 4 years later.
God damn.
So let me get this straight. Your friends started streaming, right? And you were like,
Yes.
I want in on that. Let me start streaming. Maybe they'll let me in on that. And then you started streaming and showed up and went, hey guys, I do this too now. And they're like, great, you ruined it. Fuck off.
Yeah.
That's the story I just heard.
That is the summary of my high school and middle school experience. People start doing shit. I'm like, yo, I do this too now. Get the fuck out. Get the fuck out. What are you doing? No, yeah.
We're done.
Well, you've given us the perfect segue. You've given us the perfect segue to talk about how this is the last episode of the show. You can keep doing this if you want. We're gonna leave now.
Yeah.
You've done it again. So he's still got it, folks.
Welcome to Jake Fights About It.
Jake sits alone, kind of yells at nothing, Get off my lawn!
Jake Stone yells at Cloud. Oh, man. But man. As you can tell, we've got a myriad of questions. Jed just jumped dead into it. I don't know what that was about, but you just jumped dead into the fucking water.
I want to go, dude.
This is very unprofessional. I don't appreciate it, Jed. I
damn.
Head straight for the questions list. Your exit from the show might be real. No. But today I intend to, because we've only really run into you while you've been streaming actively, and you're a hilarious guy moment to moment. However, might I say, you behave in a way that I genuinely cannot believe is a real human being. And so today we're going to get to the bottom of this shit. We're going to find the real guy in there somewhere.
You ain't going to find him, bitch. You ain't finding him.
He's in there. He's got to be in there. Who is Jake Stone?
Oh my God.
Happen again.
Dexter Morgan.
Oh shit.
Shit,
Stone is the Bay Harbor Butcher. God damn.
The Bay Harbor shitter.
We've actually talked about the Bay Harbor shitter on the podcast before.
I think we were talking about him a couple weeks ago, yeah.
Oh
my
man.
God, you're the honors student.
So Jake Stone. You got a question on who Jake Stone really is, Vox, since you're leading into that.
Okay, all right, all right. Let's start like treading water here at surface level with
Yeah.
who is your like, did you have a guy when you started that you were like, you know what, I want to be like that guy. I want to do this. I know you said that like you got into streaming because of your friends, but surely there was like somebody there to like once you were out of that phase of like, well, who can be my guiding light here? Who is it, you know? Do you got a
Yeah.
guy?
I do have a guy, and it's Schlatt.
Mm.
And I got naturally compared to Schlatt because I'm from New York. I was born on Long Island. I carry over the
Right, right.
accent because I lived with my mother and she had the accent. She stays with the accent. I go and visit Long Island. I visit my relatives there, my grandma, grandpa, my cousins, aunt, and uncle. Um, and you'll usually hear it when I'm very loud. Sometimes it just forces its way out, just generally. But and I'm very intense sometimes. I know this that I can take a bit too far. But then it's funny to me, and then it's funny to other people somehow that when I take it too far, I'm like, this works. So
Yeah, fuck it. Win-win.
mhm.
Yeah.
So
No, yeah.
Schlatt was definitely one of those guys for me where I would watch him and I'd see a lot of myself in him. Especially, I watched his interview with Anthony Padilla, and where he would adopt like the conservative persona that I tend to adopt a lot because I was around conservatives a lot. I used to be a conservative, so I understand the mindset. So I'm able to really get into that like satirical, like conservative mindset very easily. And then I feel like we're very similar in that way. And plus our names start with J, so that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're halfway
that
there.
is like the key point of comparison for sure.
Indeed. Name, letter, and former political affiliation.
Yeah.
Oh man, I find that like the conservative bit, like the mock conservatism of like ha ha
Yeah.
ha, you know. I find that that's like a very like funny bit. It's amazing when it works, but like it's a very tricky thing to pull off appropriately
Oh yeah.
in a way
Yeah,
where
yeah,
people
yeah.
read that like, oh, this guy's fucking around. Okay.
Yeah.
How do you toe that line? Where do you find that like where do you find that success in that particular bit?
Truth is, sometimes I find trouble with it. I try and do like a very obvious like voice with it. What I'd probably go with like is a deeper, like more like southern. Hell yeah, these guys staying minorities and these liberals, they gotta go. Like stuff like that. Like saying like, see, even there, you could argue like, oh, that's crossing line. But if you add the voice to it, then it makes sense that it's clearly satire.
Right,
Yeah.
I mean, doing the the Trump mannerisms in like in speech, like you go like this, and he does the weird
Yeah.
dance.
That's a
yeah.
dance. I
He's a
He
little,
will
yeah, he
he
does a
would
little
do
groove.
he will do this, and it'll look like he's jerking two guys off. That's what
yeah.
happens. But when you do it's body language and it's voice, and I've been blessed with a lot of good ways of modifying my own voice. I'm able to do a lot of accents, a lot of voices. So if I rarely do that bit just with my own voice unless I'm with people who know me for sure.
Mhm.
Like it specifically like people like some like people I've known for like 2 years and more, like Alico, like Chris Soda Pop, Cooper Bowling Alley, love those guys. They know me, they understand a lot of my humor is very risque, I guess you could say. But that comes with being like you formerly being conservative and then sort of finding your way out of it. The humor sort of stays with you sometimes. And then
Mhm.
it's like, well, this is what I used to say, and the people around me who used to be conservative would love this. And then you navigate to a more like liberal environment, and you're like, wow, this is not landing. What the
Mhm.
fuck? So, I mean, I think breaking out of that sphere has really challenged me to like figure out better humor, better jokes to appeal to the modern audience, not like audiences in like 2016, 2018. Because what had radicalized me was, if you remember those like quote unquote anti SJW videos.
Oh,
Do you remember those?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I
yeah.
was
That is the pipeline I fell down, and a lot
Same.
of young men like me fell down. That I will say that is probably what gave Trump the win in 2016. That is probably what won Trump the election. But we don't have to talk about election stuff. But that is what I fell into. That was my sense of humor, like throughout middle school and like freshman sophomore year of high school, until I've really like started analyzing myself and found my way out of it, and like realized, damn, this kind of shit though, I gotta get out of here.
Yeah.
Like, it was crazy.
Yeah,
but
these like I don't know, it's just sort of something that like luckily like I had a lot of faith in humanity around pandemic time and around like because like at that point I had like just graduated high school the previous year, and even though I was like growing apart from a lot of friends I knew in high school, it was a lot of like guys like me and guys like that who like were very much, you know, on the backs of guys like that, like in that whole anti-SJW sort of like, you know, fuck your feelings movement. And it very
like
quickly just like you hit like adulting age, like you hit like 18, 19, and like just about everybody's grown out of it. Like it was something to grow out of, was being a conservative, and I appreciated that.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah,
But
PragerU had me in a stranglehold in middle school.
PragerU, Ben Shapiro.
Yeah.
Fucking who else? I don't remember.
All of those people who like
like the libs owned compilation, like Charlie Kirk. Guys like Charlie Kirk. Turning Point USA was a big deal. Hell, even just Donald Trump in general. Like in 2016, compared to now, he cannot talk. In 2016, he was a master at public speaking. He was great at it. It's one of the other reasons why he won. Not only like the disinformation campaigns on YouTube, on Facebook, just if you listen to him speak, he would start out very moderate. One of the first speeches I'd watched from Trump was him talking about eliminating the wage gap, which hearing that come from him now is crazy because he doesn't believe it exists. But he would try and appeal to a moderate voter, and he would do it better than Clinton would. So he would talk about draining the swamp. He would talk about wage gap. He would talk about taxes, like trying to cut taxes in the middle class, trying to drain the swamp, all that stuff. And it would appeal to a moderate voter, which would then bring you closer to like more of the radical ideas. Build that wall, lock her up, movements like that. That would really like convince you that this guy's sane. And then these like other ideas, maybe he's not crazy with that. But clearly those ideas did not work and never would work. So
no, yeah, absolutely. It's just
crazy.
One of those things. It's one of those things that like young men get dragged into very much. Just like you don't notice because they put you in a lukewarm pot of water, and next thing you know, it's coming to a boil, and you gotta get the hell out of there. You know, and some people just didn't like notice at all.
No, yeah, and we had that sort of renaissance 2023, 2024 with guys like Andrew Tate, guys like Neon, guys like Aiden Ross, Sneeko, who adopted that sort of thing, like the like alpha male, like grind set sort of deal. That I think is also a reason why he won this election as well, because a lot of young men were radicalized by those people: Aiden Ross, Sneeko, Neon, Charlie Kirk. Again, he's still very active. A lot of those guys.
Yeah,
Andrew
with his
Tate.
fucked up like gum smile. Yeah, how does he?
Oh, that's
why
awful.
does he do that? Why does he do that? It's ridiculous.
That's just how he smiles. That's how
he looks like he's seething. Just like absolutely angry behind the screen, behind like the fucking face he's putting on, just like, god damn it.
They got me. Fuck.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think growing up in a conservative area or with conservative mindsets can really get you to be able to do more political satire in that way. And I know Vox and I will do it sometimes, but we do it a little bit differently in the way that we'll just like maybe not even do a voice, but just like over radicalize it to the point of just like, this is absurd.
Well,
nobody could ever fix this.
Yeah, that's part of it too.
Yeah, I've just run out of it. I've run out of it recently. Like I've just completely. That was okay. The rights issues hit them. Like, and again, we don't have to talk election stuff, but the election stuff's hard stopped for me. Like the moment he won, my first thought was not. Yeah. My first thought was, God damn it! How do we get another 4 years of Trump jokes? I got all the jokes you could make about this man were made before he was elected the first time. We can't do this again. You know?
We're gonna get more. We're gonna get more bits. I mean, he's 78.
Yeah.
He's gonna be what, 82 when he leaves office? 82, 83.
It's ridiculous.
So I mean, we're gonna have essentially another Joe Biden. It's gonna. It's already Jover. So we're gonna get shit like that of him like fucking inviting Zelensky over to have a Big Mac.
Yeah. God, his love of McDonald's is like, he's such a character is my problem. Like I hate him and I hate what he stands for, but like he's just undeniably like a work of fiction, dude. How does this guy exist? He's comical. And it's just like that's where a lot of my steam runs low with like a lot of the conservative bits as of late of just like I don't know how to parody this anymore. I don't know how to satirize this anymore because they're already like saying all the shit that I was saying like 8 years ago, but with a complete straight face.
Yeah, and now it's real. I mean, it's no longer satire. The shit that we're joking about, it's real. He's elected. He's going to be president. The shit we're jokingly saying is the shit that he's going to enact. It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's a real rough time.
It's insane.
I don't know. About the election, I feel like I gotta say something. I've already said something publicly in different places.
We can't pretend it's not happened.
Because that's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking when like an hour ago, up to like an hour ago, of just like, oh man, we're having Jake Stone on the show this week. I don't know if it's avoidable. I think we should get out ahead of it. And then just like pretend it's not there. But it's just not doable. It's just not possible.
You have to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because it's such like it's crazy how like we knew it would be close, but it wasn't close. Is crazy. He won or at least as from what's been called, he's won every single swing state.
Yeah,
which is
outrageous.
It's unheard of. It's unheard of. And she conceded so fast.
Yeah, she didn't show up that night to talk about it. Like she canceled her speech that night, and then obviously, because it was like 2-3 in the morning. But
we thought that she was winning. Like when we went to bed, she was winning Michigan. She was winning Arizona. She was winning She wasn't winning North Carolina. She was winning Michigan. She was winning Pennsylvania. She was winning Arizona, and that's all we needed. Wisconsin was already red. We woke up. They called Pennsylvania for Trump. Michigan was leaning red. Arizona was leaning red. Nevada was leaning red. They called Georgia. They called North Carolina, and it was over.
Mm-hmm.
It was over.
Yeah. It was absurd. Vox and I were like up all night, just like desperately doing the red mirage.
Fucking Robert Reich screwed us. Robert Reich and that fucking TikTok. Don't worry, guys. It's gonna turn blue eventually. And it didn't. And it didn't.
It never happened.
It never came. It never came. And the weird thing is, where the fuck did 20 million votes go?
Exactly. Voter turnout was amazing this year. I have no idea what happened.
There's no way we lost the popular vote. I can't believe that I don't think it's possible that we lost the popular vote. Because we had bomb threats, we had ballot box being burned, all of it. It's impossible that 15 to 20 million Democrat voters decide not to show up or just switch to Trump. It's crazy.
Guess my best bet is it's a lot of the single issue voters who just really were like, I won't vote anybody. I'm gonna like cross my arms and this won't happen. And it's like, that's my best bet, but Yeah.
There are a lot of factors.
Yeah.
But like, regardless of any election interference, there's real possibility for that kind of thing. There's real possibility that there are reasons to investigate this election and take a second look at it. However, I think like the only thing we know for sure is the fact that the Democratic Party decided wholeheartedly that they value not being like Trump and being like taking that peaceful exit over actually having a fair election and ensuring the election we had was fair and doing right.
Like, it
by
doesn't
the
matter
American
now.
people. The optics matter so much more to those people. Yeah,
like
it doesn't matter now.
She conceded.
They're not calling for the recount, which they have every right to do. Because in Wisconsin, you know what the gap is? The gap is 30K.
Yeah,
the gap is. I think it actually shrank to 22.
I think Arizona was even smaller.
Arizona, yeah, it's around. I think the last I checked, it was around 60K. In Georgia, it's still like, I think it's about 120. Michigan's still too close to call.
Yeah, it's all like less than a
in
percent.
Georgia, it was 120. Like from the moment they started, reporting, it was blue, and then it turned red by 120, and then they've just both kind of kept pace with each other with that gap. For, like up to now.
Yeah.
And the thing is now that even if we were to find out there's election fraud, the second that she went ahead and said, "Oh yeah, he won," it's over. Like, it doesn't matter if there's fraud or not.
Not necessarily.
It's not legally binding, but
yeah, concession is not immediate like ending of the election. You can concede, like with Al Gore and Bush. Gore conceded even though he disagreed with the results. So it was a Supreme Court decision that had deemed Bush the winner. It was a 5-4 decision. So it was one vote that kept Al Gore out of office. So he very much disagreed with the decision, and it took about a month after the election to get it settled, and he still contested. He contested until the Supreme Court decision came down that decided Bush was president. We could have definitely, we couldn't have gotten to the Supreme Court, but we certainly could have had recounts in Wisconsin. We could have had recounts in Georgia. We could have recounts in North Carolina. Because I'm surprised because North Carolina's gubernatorial race went Democrat.
Yeah.
And the state went Republican.
I think that Arizona did the same. Like, we're chilling with a blue senator right now. Yeah, it's wild.
Kari Lake lost again in Arizona. Yet the state goes to Trump. So it's weird that we have so many split ticket voters.
Yeah. I genuinely, I don't understand how this could have happened, but we're here now.
We're here now, and that's all we can do about it.
I don't know. The morning after, despite everything, and I for like a good while there, I was like, "There's a possibility of a recount, but odds are this is our guy for the next 4 years." So
that's our guy.
But I got like this overwhelming like sense of calm. Yeah, official Trump endorsement for the fight. No, I can't even say it. But
don't even.
Those tampons on your ears. Solidarity, motherfuckers.
Yeah. I don't know. I got this like sense of like calm of just like, well, at least the uncertainty of it is over. At least we know what we're getting, and like there's still gonna be the opportunity in 2 years for electing officials under him and electing like state officials and whatnot, and many other little things. And there's still like action that we can take to not necessarily hard stop a lot of this stuff, but there's a lot of it that we can at least put a delay on for a few months to a few years, even in some cases, by simply like making sure you vote locally and making sure that in 2 years you show up to the polls just like you did this year. And you know, like there's still stuff to be done about it. I remain ever the optimist about these sorts of things. You know, we got through 2016 to 2020 pretty much unscathed. We can do it again, you know?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and like I doubt that anybody will let anything happen, and like even so, definitely vote, get your voices out there. Like, do ensure that you stay safe as well, though. Things can definitely get really dangerous, and ensure what you need to do to stay safe. But also get your voice out there.
the only immediate consequence of this election that is pretty much instant is that those like huge conservative guys have just gotten like the biggest like chest puffing up they possibly could have.
Oh yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
sure that'll lead to an uptick in certain types of crime. So, like, make sure you're safe. Make sure you're good to go. I'm not going to fearmonger anybody. I'm not going to get into hypotheticals and what could happen. But, just take care of yourself, and vote.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Do vote. And we've got, I think it's 2 more years until the next, like...
Yeah, the midterms, absolutely.
Yeah, the midterms, we might be able to turn some stuff back. And
I think we will.
Yeah. Don't lose hope.
It's what happened in 2016. It's what happened in 2018. It'll happen in absolutely.
As much as I didn't like her concession speech, I did think that Kamala did a good job with saying just like stay, keep fighting, keep doing that. It was kind of ironic to hear keep fighting. Also, Trump won, but
Yeah.
She said keep fighting, but I have to concede in like the same sentence.
I mean, if she didn't, everyone would be saying, "Oh, look at this hypocrite,"
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just
about him not conceding. So there's the additional pressure of if we lose, we kind of have to concede because in order to like uphold the principle. But that's how the election went. That's how it is.
Yeah.
And there's only so much to be said about it, and like
I
don't know. My main concern wasn't that like I wasn't concerned of like but should I be using this sort of a platform to talk about this? Nobody's gonna be coming here for election news. It was mostly just like, dude, I can't go on social media now without seeing it. It's good that it's inescapable. It's good that the news is out there. However, 3 days deep, are we doing anybody any good, really?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
And so it's just like, I feel like, by Sunday, which is when this episode will release. We're recording this on Thursday, by the way. I might as well just date that. By
3.
Sunday, when this releases, I'm going to be absolutely sick of hearing about it. But it's good to get a statement out there.
Yeah.
But enough about the election. Back to Jake Stone and who you are.
Oh, right. You tried to misdirect us, you fucking sneaky Pete. We're going to get back to you.
Almost gotcha.
All right. Well, we talked about the content creators who inspired you. And we also said, like, who is Jake Stone down there? Is it a persona? Is what you do online a persona, or is this just who you are? Because honestly, I felt the same way that Vox did about you that I did about Vox. I was like, no fucking way, this guy's real. He is just like that, and he's fucking corrupted me to be like him. It's wild.
I gotta confess something.
Okay.
I'm straight edge. I'm sober. All the time. I do not drink, I do not smoke, and people think I am high or drunk, no matter what. No matter where I go, people will say, "Are you high? Are you drunk right now? Like, what is going on?" But no, I am straight edge. I do not like to drink. I do not smoke. But this is just me. I am very high octane, high energy all the time. But
yeah. So it's not a persona. This is just raw Jake Stone.
Sometimes it'll be persona. I mean, if you gotta super exaggerate sometimes in order to keep an audience going,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, in order for things to go, you gotta make sure everybody is, attentive, and the way to do that is yell.
Yeah.
Yell and curse and scream and be mad and overact. One of the other inspirations that I had for streaming and content creation and character creation is Jim Carrey. And Jim is the master of overacting. Not in a bad way. Like, overacting can be very, very grating. But the way Jim would do it is like he would sit in this very relatively like normal world. Like, take a movie like Liar, where his character gets cursed to only tell the truth for 24 hours, where he's like a very slimy, sneaky lawyer, and he's doing these big facial expressions all the time when he's frustrated and like forced to tell the truth. But the environment around him is mundane. And it really works to like set the like comedic and like the tone for the movie, because you know what you're going to expect when you get, you know that this is a relatively normal environment, an environment you usually see like with Fun with Dick and Jane, just a household, Ace Ventura, police station, sports team, sports venue, where he uses his environment to advantage. And that's what I like to do, is I like to my advantage, because a lot of these people are not going to be going over the top, because we're in the era of what is known as the comfort stream. Like, people who will stay, all right, guys, we're going to go play this game, and it's going to be really cool. Oh my gosh, guys. Yeah, how's that? And like the introverted streamer. I'm very extroverted. So for me to be very quiet, very low energy, very like calming, someone you could listen to sleep, is not something that would ever work. I'll have a chill stream now and then, but most of the time it is high octane. It's everywhere. I'm doing the most. So the way I like to get that to work is to surround myself with people who would consider themselves comfort streamers. So I will surround myself with these people and stand out. And that's what I really feel is standing out from a crowd, like Jim would do. Like Jim Carrey in those movies will ensure that you remember him, because he's impossible to forget. One of the scenes that I'd like to take, for example, is the pen is blue scene from in which he is trying to test his ability to lie, whether it's just his voice, him speaking, or if it translates to writing. So he takes a red pen and he starts trying to write, "This pen is blue." But his hand starts doing all these things and it's like attacks him. And when his secretary opens the door, like the entire room is covered in the word blue, and his face is covered in the word blue, and he just starts screaming, "The pen is blue! The pen is blue! The pen is blue! The goddamn pen is blue!" And that's what I like to do. I like to be very over the top with it. And when you surround yourself with the people like in Willow, people are very cordial, very simple, very quiet until there's a big moment. I like to set the baseline as being very, very active. And so then when you see something like a tonal shift, because what I'm playing is sort of, well, they villain arc sort of deal. So when you see the shift into quiet, that's when you know something is different. Something is to be paid attention to, rather than just yelling, being the main focus. If you're like that all the time, the quiet moments are surprising. Quiet is the best like suspense tool, in my opinion. So when a movie is loud and then all of a sudden you don't know what to think, you don't know what is going to happen, you don't know if you are in danger, you don't know if somebody has noticed something that you haven't. Like the sudden, why is everybody quiet? You know, like the phrase, "It's quiet in here, but it's too quiet." So making that the baseline for my streams being loud, and then those quiet moments, something that you really pay telling, is what I love to. I love to like drag people, pull people in with the obvious. You see the loud persona, quiet. Sorry, I cut out. You have the loud persona, quiet. You're confused because that's not the norm. So you like try and figure out exactly what is going on, and you pay attention, and that definitely gives you a bit of a boost in like viewer attention, in people paying attention to the stream, engaging with the stream. And so I try and keep it consistent with that, with like being loud and being overactive. But again,
oh yeah,
fully sober.
I do apologize. You're cutting in and out just a tad. If you could,
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We were just trying to make sure you knew what was up. Okay. But no, yeah, that's an amazing thing. That's an amazing thing about Jim Carrey and whatnot, because Liar Liar is probably one of my favorite Jim Carrey movies, because it's such because Jim Carrey movies a lot of the time, I also like Cable Guy quite a bit. But
Cable Guy. Absolutely.
Yeah, Cable Guy's real good. But Liar Liar is such like, because usually people put Jim Carrey in these sorts of like Ace Ventura sort of roles where like or like even something like the Riddler, where it's like this is kind of a crazy guy in an equally kind of goofy surrounding, where like you flip that on its head, and it just makes it all the more powerful, those moments that Jim Carrey has, because he's like riding a fucking stair lift down a runway to like yell at a love interest in a plane and whatnot, and it's all played completely straight by all the other actors, and so it just opens up this like sort of playground for him to really just like launch into it, and is a great sort of flip on its head of the traditional like stranger in a strange land bit, where you have like, you know, the protagonist is the straight man, and then he's surrounded by all these sorts of, you know, wacky, extraordinary things, and he's used to ground the audience. Whereas like they flip that, where like the sort of his surroundings frame, you know, the audience and keep them grounded on just like, no, this is life, this is just what it is, and beyond the whole like I wish my dad wouldn't lie to me anymore, very very sad wish made at the beginning of that movie, you know, beyond like that sort of magic, it's very flat, it's very normal, and it just makes sense and makes the comedy stand all the more, and really speaks to that, like you said, sort of like being loud and abrasive, but doing so in aid of where there is silence, there is very intentional silence. It is definitely not considered the default state of things.
Especially in Liar Liar, like specifically those moments where he's with Max, you know, the kid, when Fletcher's with Max, like the sadness that he can portray, like, because you'll have this guy who's over the top, the claw, all that stuff. But then when he brings the birthday cake to him and he's like, could you make the wish again so I can lie again? And the kid's like looking at him, and all of a sudden Jim Carrey's face is just like utter disappointment in himself. Like we see this over the top character sort of realizing he has to mature and grow up and tell the truth and understand that lying to your children, lying to your family is not the way that you can live. I mean, Fletcher, if you didn't play Fletcher by Jim Carrey, Fletcher's like this very average person, you know, divorced father, seeking custody, somewhat healthy relationship with his ex, trying to be a good father. Max genuinely likes him. So, not just because he's like a good dad, he makes him laugh. Because most of the scenes where Fletcher is with Max is having fun. But when he leaves and is unable to fulfill those promises, it's pure dread, sadness. And initially, the character does not care how he is truly affecting his son. But when he makes the wish and all that happens, and he's like dealing with the repercussions of the wish, and then seeing that him not telling the truth is really destroying his chances at being a father, like that over the top persona disappears. It's gone the minute he says, but I like the truth, or whatever it was. Just the sudden like guilt and shame that pours over Jim as he's playing this character it's a masterclass. I think he's really good at tonal shift. Like he's a master at tonal shift.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely crazy. But yeah, Liar Liar, specifically that character Fletcher Reed, is one of a big inspiration for what my persona is. Because if you see me in like outside of scenarios, I'm like a dad. I'm very much a dad of the group. I am like I'm in my belt, I'm in my cargo shorts, I'm in my tee, polo, I got my chain, and I am making food, I am explaining statistics or whatever. Like on the election night, I was standing watching the numbers go up and explaining to people like which states she needs and what states she need, what states will probably go where, and like that's usually who I am outside of streaming. But like if I were that person, I don't feel like I would be. So I need to. My mindset is not to just not be myself, but it's to incorporate that person into the persona as well. So you'll have these streams where, like when I play Balatro, which is a math-centered game, I love math. I'm a big math guy. So you'll see me sort of calculating it out, but within that persona, like figuring out which jokers, what like type of hand I need to play, all that stuff. You'll see me calculating that, and that's where I feel most comfortable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. That's your area, and that's great. That's awesome. But you know, there's a lot of there's a lot of people who don't really give much thought to it, and it kind of just happens. And it's very interesting because a lot of people's answer to those sorts of questions is just like, I don't know, man. I just show up and do the thing, and then it's done.
Yeah.
You know, but like, and it's like, it's great that some people are so naturally gifted, or some people don't have to put in that much effort, whichever it may be. But it's even better. Mostly, I will admit I'm biased on this. It's better to me because I'm really intrigued when people have like a process and like such like a defined center like that of like, I point to Jim Carrey's character in Liar Liar. That is my emotional center. That is where I am as a like Twitch persona. And it's so interesting to see, you know, someone have so much thought about it. It's really you know, a thing to behold, you know, that like,
Yeah.
because a lot of people just treat this like a hobby, and I
Yeah.
find
And it is
myself
a
falling
hobby
into
for
that
me.
a lot. And it is a hobby. Yeah, no, it's not
It
like
is
a
a hobby.
career. But
I
it
can't
can also
do that as a career.
yeah, no, it can be a craft, though, is what I'm getting
it's a
at. Of
craft
like,
for
you know,
me.
it's just sort of like, it's sort of a thing I sit down and do every few days. Where it's like,
Yeah.
some people, it's like, I have calculated it. Every single move I make is a chess move. I am ready to quote unquote win this game of chess that will be executing the next few hours live and making a good show of it. You know, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm sort of definitely in between there. Like a lot of the, especially with Willow, I plan a lot of ideas in advance and then base a lot of decisions off of those basic ideas for the character. And then in non-character streams, not as much of it will be, because I feel like my partners told me this. A lot of my friends have told me this. I'm very good. I'm very good at improv. Okay. But I think that's just come naturally to me, the improv element of streaming. But it took a lot of practice to really get camera specifically, because I would be able to do it with people in front of me, but like when you're in front of we'll all have these days where one viewer hell, two viewer hell, zero chatters.
Oh yeah.
So having
Absolutely,
to stay engaged and stay engaging without any feedback in real time was really hard those first 2 years. Sure, you get the average chatter now and then, and I mean now I'm getting some chatters. I have a few consistent, but you'll still have those streams where you have no one for like 3 or 4 hours. So and you want the VOD to be entertaining.
Oh yeah.
So you'll either call it early, or you'll just go and you'll just act like you're like recording a YouTube video. Because I don't do YouTube videos. I'm starting to branch out into there with the Vox channel, and I'm starting to have the ideas to make shorts. But my way of thinking about it, because when I was a kid, when you'd play games, you'd pretend that you're doing a YouTube video. And that's what I do. And I'll just pretend that I'm recording a YouTube video. So I'll redo lines. I'll sort of start over and be like redoing lines and figuring out what would I find funny if so that if somebody watches the VOD, it shows up for you, TikTok or Shorts, and it's happened a bit of some of the recent VODs are getting consistent either 40, 50, 60 views. So that's been very motivating for me to continue staying engaged while there is nobody in chat. So that's been a big part of it because it's a lot of half and half, like calculated, and then half is a lot of improv. So that's what I'm working with. That's the setup I have up here.
And I apologize again. We're losing you
I know,
little bit.
I know. I don't know what's going on with this thing.
Yeah, it's all right.
I'm hoping that like, because like this is it's like almost heartbreaking because it's like, man, this is probably like the worst audio quality we've had for an episode. However, the highest quality actual conversation that we've had on this show, and it's such a dichotomy though. It's almost charming.
That's an allegory for my channel. It really is, because most of the time I don't know what I'm doing. I just found out what Nightbot was a few months ago.
Right.
I don't know how to set up the reactives. Like you were talking to me about, do you have a reactive? Do you have a PNG tuber? No, I don't have any of that. Hell, I still don't have a proper starting soon screen. I just have the fucking in construction starting screen. I have 4 tabs on my OBS, which are starting soon, gaming, just chatting, be right back. And that is it. I do not have
that's all you need. The bread and butter.
I have nothing. I don't have an outline for my face cam. It's there. And then sometimes it isn't there. I've just found out that you can just have separate tabs for Spotify and for your game. So I would just record desktop audio instead of having them all be separate, because it was easier. And I didn't know you could really do that. Put it all in desktop audio and you could separate it later, but you can't. But yeah, I just learned really how to set up OBS like a few months ago. I figured out what a reactive is. I figured out how to set up alerts on my own, because I would just use the Twitch Studio. I used the Twitch Studio probably for the first 4 years, or not 4 years. Sorry, probably for the first year and a half, and then I switched to Streamlabs, and then I switched to OBS, and I've been using OBS since then. But it's been very difficult to learn because I'm not a tech savvy. I'm not very tech savvy at all. And I have that kind of autism where it's like, I want to know more, but what questions do I ask? What do I look up to find the resources that I need? I don't know what to ask. So when people are like, well, yeah, don't you use Nightbot? What the fuck is Nightbot? What are you talking about? I thought that just came with Twitch. And then, like, something I just found out about recently, shoutouts. I didn't know you could do that. I thought that was Nightbot. Like, when you shout out somebody who rated you, I was like, oh, that's Nightbot doing that. No, you can do that manually. So I'm like, shit, I haven't been doing that at all. Do those people think I'm an asshole for not giving them the shout
of course not.
But yeah, it's crazy because there's no handbook for that. So you learn as you go, and I've learned a lot, but I guarantee you there's still so much I do not know. So like it took me about 2 years to figure out how to, like, CurseForge and Modrinth on my own. I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know where to go to install mods. I was like, shit, these sites are fishy. Because all the mod sites are so fishy. They're so fishy.
Oh, yeah.
And they look like viruses. And I'm like, I don't know if I
Big
should click on
green
this.
download button.
Yes, the big green
7
download button.
different download buttons. Which
I'm
one of them is real? Figure it
I'm
out.
like sharing my screen. I'm like, I don't trust this.
Please,
trust
God,
this
don't
at
let me get a
all.
virus.
I'm
Oh my God, but
17
yeah.
ad fly pages deep, homie. Where do I get the
Oh
thing?
my God, it's crazy. But yeah,
yeah.
it does not make sense. A lot of this does not make sense. So I guarantee you, a lot of these people transitions and they have commissioned like starting student screens, all that. I'm still working on figuring because I don't have the money for commissions right now. But that's future me problem.
Oh,
So
yeah,
I'll probably
absolutely.
I'll be keeping the construction people and the coming soon to a streamer near you sort of tab, and then the BRB screen is just a back with Walter White staring at you.
Oh my God.
It's
That's
it's
fantastic.
it's a picture of Hal from Malcolm in the Middle just staring at you like.
Oh, I know the
And then-
exact photo you're talking about.
And the
Yeah.
caption is I'll be right back. It's crazy.
Christ.
Oh man. Oh,
Oh,
no.
That's
yeah.
yeah.
But no, yeah,
I
stream
also
setups.
set up reactives. It's crazy.
That's crazy. But stream setups are such like a thing. Again, like you said, that's what excites me about content is that it's such like an ever-changing landscape, really, where like
Yeah.
anything can happen at any time. The meta could change tomorrow in some drastic way. The
Yes.
algorithm could
Yes.
suddenly decide to go for group like X instead of group Y. You know, what the tradition is for this and that doesn't really matter because some guy, the next guy to blow up is the next guy who sets what the tradition will be in a few years,
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
And so
Yes.
it's such like a wide open space where everybody's doing sort of their own thing and all figuring it out together on like a day-to-day from like the largest creators to the smallest creators. And it's just like it's the Wild West, except every time we start laying train tracks, suddenly we're somewhere new. You know?
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's hard to keep up. It's really hard to keep up sometimes. So you get real frustrated. Real
Oh, for
frustrated
sure,
real quick.
yeah.
It's
Oh
crazy.
yeah.
But
Oh, yeah.
speaking of frustrations, how do you I know you said that you're not like super big on like having a persona, but like you do sort of like play up for the
Yeah.
streams and whatnot.
Yes.
I myself
yes.
come from like a very much like this used to be me and it still is me in a lot of social circles. But like the second I'm in either a large enough group where nobody's looking at me or alone where nobody's looking at me, I just shut down. I am a dead silent like creature. I like to watch people, I like to hang out, you know.
Yeah,
but like if I'm in
absolutely.
a large group, you won't hear a peep out of me most of the time. You know?
Yes.
But
yeah.
like the thing about that is it's so compartmentalized for me where like the second I hit go live, it's like, all right, it's you know, turn on the lights, hit the
Night and
cameras, it's action, it's ready to go. You know, and anything bad that happened to me that day, like a lot of the time it's just like I absolutely trudge over to my desk and it's like, dude, because I did a little bit of theater and I did a little bit of radio when I was younger. Very little of both, but I did both of those things when I was younger and very quickly had like a firm hand at the time to teach me, hey, the second you're out of those wings is the immediate moment you need to be you need to be going 100%.
Yeah.
And so like, you know, I trudge over to the monitor and I sit down and I hit the go live button and it's like, all right, showtime, compartmentalize all that shit that's happened in the past however long that's got me in like this sort of lethargic mood. It's gone for the next 4 hours. It's out.
It's
And
disturbing.
it's
Really
hard to do. Jed has seen me go from like near sobbing at the start, like moments before recording, to just like, all right, everybody, here we go.
It's genuinely really disturbing because I don't do that. I don't do that. I'm not a creator. I'm not a personality. Vox, I've genuinely seen him go from like, all right, let's record this now. Hey, and it's like, what the fuck? How did you do that?
Yeah,
the fuck? But I was going to ask you, Jake. Still, this was just like a little bit of preamble for this question of like, do you do that sort of compartmentalization, or have you like, how do you deal with the days where you wake up and it's just like, man, I'm not in the fucking mood. I couldn't stream today even if I wanted to. You know, how do you get through that? Do you just not and shove it back, or do you like come out anyways?
You know what I do?
What's up?
I don't really feel that way a lot. And here's why. I really don't get too frustrated or like dread streaming because I've set up my own schedule. I used to be like that because I wouldn't have a consistent schedule. I wouldn't have a consistent routine that fit within my schedule. I would just stream whenever the fuck I wanted without like warning, just randomly. And I would be like, shit, I haven't streamed in a while. I should stream. But now it's every Tuesday or Wednesday. Well, I'm taking a little break now, but it's usually Tuesday or Wednesday, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and those are usually my times to myself. And I really like streaming, so I make sure I can set up a time for when I like it. I get to do what I need to do, and I'm ready. I'm like, all right, I'm ready to go, and I press the go live button, get my music started, and I'm singing, I'm grooving, and that's what I usually do. I groove, really like. I listen to that on repeat for because I'm not a guy who likes to listen to playlists. I will listen to a specific song.
Mm-hmm.
I will listen to one song on repeat until I'm done with it, and then switch to another song. So I'll listen to the song of the minute, and then once I'm ready to stream, I'm ready to go. I'm happy. I'm enjoying it because I'm doing something I get to enjoy and get to do on my alone time. I talked to my therapist about it, and my therapist had said to me, like, in order to really boost your self-esteem and stuff like that, you need to find the things you enjoy and do them when you would enjoy it. So I'm not going to stream on a Wednesday when I know like I have so much to do, or a Tuesday when I have so much to do and I'm dreading like having to give up time that I need to work for streaming, and then that's all I'm thinking of. No, I get my shit done before I stream, and then I stream because that's my reward for doing my shit this week. And especially on Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, I did so much on Thursday, on Wednesday, on Monday, all that, and finally I get time to myself when my girlfriend's doing her work on the weekends. I'll get to stream for however long I need to, and when she comes down, and that's when I'm done. I don't really get very frustrated before I have to stream or record. It's usually something I'm looking forward to, because another thing that I use to really center myself and like get prepared for it is realize that what I'm doing is not a right, it's a privilege. That streaming is a privilege. We are privileged to be able to have an audience and have people that come and tune in. So I remember and I center myself and I acknowledge my place in this sphere, that I have a privilege that a lot of people do not have. And that privilege is being able to speak and have people listen. And I feel like I feel like a lot of content creators do not like to acknowledge that this is not just, oh, I get to do this because I want to. No, this is a privilege, because a lot of people start out in this field and then never get anywhere. They'll never break 100. They'll never break 10 views. They'll never get successful. And so for me to have the success that I have, no matter how small it is, it's such a privilege that it really helps me just get in the mood and keeps me really grounded and in the present moment, that, wow, I'm here. I get to speak to these people. I get these people to watch me have a game. These people want to watch me play this game. These people are taking time out of their day, to type in chat, say hello, follow me. Hell, sometimes they'll give you a sub. They'll pay money. The fact that people would pay money to me with no incentive, just out of the kindness of their hearts, that is a privilege, and I absolutely love it every single time.
No, yeah, it's great.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to. I didn't mean to sound like I was like having like a dog shit
you're
time.
good. No, absolutely not.
No, I know that wasn't directed at me. I'm just saying that like
Yeah.
I'm such like a, you know, that like feeling you get. I don't know if you get it, but like it's something that I've seen people express before about showering, of just like You get to the point of the day
Yeah,
where
I
it's like,
get
all right,
you.
it's shower time. Good God, I gotta fucking get a I don't want to be wet right now, dude.
Yeah.
And then you get in the
And then when
shower and
you're
it's
in
like,
the
I never
shower-
want to leave. I want to be
Yeah.
here all day. You know? And it's just
Yeah.
like, that's how I feel about it. Is like, I'm such like a negative Nancy when it's like, oh man, I could be doing anything else. I would rather be,
Yeah.
you know, I've got this like personal project I'm working on in the background. It's taking up my brain waves. I need to be working on that. But I guess I'll stream, and I hit start streaming, and it's like, all right, it's stream time. I fucking love streaming. What was I talking about a minute ago? And then it's time to end stream, and it's like, well, that was. And usually I don't get that way about ending streams so much. Of like where like I'm having a good time, and then I hit my time quota of like, yeah, I've done my 4 hours, and I've hit a good stopping point after that. Sometimes I run a little long, sometimes I ran a couple minutes short, but it's like I've hit a good like. This is where I'd like to cap it for the day, you know? And I don't know, I feel satisfied, like I just ate a big meal every time I finish streaming, where it's like, man, that was good, you know, that was a good one. And then, you know, or maybe it was a bad one on like some days where it's like, I was in like 0 viewer hell and the game wasn't all that fun, so, you know, But, like, 9 times out of 10, I hit stop streaming after, like, doing a raid, and I feel real satisfied, and I go get food, and it's, you know, it's the highlight of my day, absolutely, to be doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just sometimes the motivation just isn't there because it becomes so regular that you sort of forget occasionally that like oh yeah, this is a thing that I do because I like it. You know, this is a hobby. Why am I like this isn't some other obligation. I don't know, my brain, once it's part of my routine, it just files it away in the chore category for some reason. Like once it's in the routine. It's hard as shit to get anything into the routine, but once it's there, it's under the now you have to, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I try and remember that this is optional. I'm doing this because I choose to. And that's what really helps me like stay focused and stay in the moment, is that this is optional. I don't have to. And I can end the stream whenever I want. There's no requirement. I'm not under contract. You know, I'm not under contract. So there's no requirement. So if I'm not feeling it, I'll just end stream early. And I think that's something that people don't do, that they should start doing, is look, sometimes your streams should be an hour. That's a short stream, but streams should be like sometimes an hour or two. You don't have to go to all 4. I used to go 6-7 hours in the beginning. Each time. About 6-7 hours. Which was really bad. I mean, I got a lot more consistent like follows during that year, which was like 2022. I'd gained like 200 something because I'd been streaming for like so long each time. But it killed me. It killed me. So what I decided to do was try and hit 2 hours and see how I felt. And if I felt like shit at hour 1, like 1 or 2, sorry, not 2 hours, 1 hour, I'd try and go for an hour, at minimum an hour. And then once I hit hour 1, I would really check in with myself and be like, do I want to keep going? And if the answer was no, I'd go for like another 30, 45 minutes. I'd be like, all right, I'm done. I'll see you guys. I'm going to do the next one. And then I'd be done and I'd feel good. So
it's appropriate to find that balance.
Yeah. And I feel like not a lot of people do that. People don't stop. People just are like, oh, I want viewer attention, time to keep going. And then their streams suffer in return. I'd rather have a really good 1 hour, 30-minute stream than a really shitty 7-hour stream.
Absolutely. You know, some streams just need to be shorter. I real quick, Jed, before you get off, we had this moment in June, I think, whenever ConsoleCraft was. It was during that month because for ConsoleCraft we would do recording sessions for that for 2 hours, and then there'd be like a hour gap period that I would use for almost exclusively grabbing like a quick meal and then like editing the next ConsoleCraft video. And then once that hour was up, it was stream time for the next 4 hours. I had to quit real hard. I made it through that month, but I was like, I swore to myself I'd never do that again, because I was like, every time I'd close my eyes at night, I would see a premiere timeline. And the hard breaking point was I was making lunch for myself. I was, just microwaving a Hot Pocket real quick, something I could eat while I edited. And and I was just like, I was unwrapping it and putting it on the plate, running the microwave. And after I put it in, I heard my husband call from the other room and just go, "What'd you say?" And I was like, "Nothing. I'm not talking." And he goes, "Yeah, you were. What were you saying?" And it clicked right then that like for the past like 5 minutes, I got up from my desk, walked to the kitchen, made food, and was commentating the entire thing. I need to be stopped. Man. I just couldn't shut it off at a certain point. And it became like, this is insanely unhealthy. So finding that balance where like A, this is the point where the stream is good, so I'm good, and B, like making sure you're satisfied at the end of the stream, but also making sure that like you're making good content and ensuring that like, is this driving me crazy? Am I doing this too much? Because there is a hard line where it's like, dude, it's just bad for you past a certain point.
One of the things. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that like with the timing thing, Vox locks me the fuck in. Vox like I stream because I hang out with Vox, and that's like that's my thing. I'm the Jed to Vox's Vox, in the way of just like I do this because he does this.
Not me.
Yeah,
you said it, Jed. You said it.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying I didn't impose any of this onto him, and I'm only so strict with you about time. I'm only so strict with you. I'm very particular about time. Is my issue.
He's a very particular time.
No, me too. Me too.
Because like if I like I don't know, for some reason there's some like deep seated like issue there of just like, dude, we both said we'd be here for lunch at like 2 p.m. at the restaurant. I'm here. I just got a text that says you're going to be 20 minutes late, not for any particular reason. You just like lost track of time. I can't abide that. You get 3 of those out of me before it's like, dude, I'm not making plans with you anymore. And that's what it came down to about streaming, was just like, Jed would want to come in and stream with me every now and again. But it's like, I put myself on the hook to make some content today. I don't have a plan B prepared. And Jed is going to be late by 30 minutes. What do I do? And there came a point where I had to sit down and have a talk with him about it. I'm like, dude, what are we going to do here?
Yeah.
And like there was a period in time where we stopped streaming, but I more so mean like now that I am my own streamer, which happened because I was doing like duo streams with Vox, and I bought a PNG tuber to have a PNG tuber on his screen, and then Vox had this moment where he was like, you could just stream too. There's nothing stopping you. You have all the assets. Just press the streaming button. And I was like, all right, fine, I'll do that.
Interest in it.
Yeah, I had expressed interest in it in just like a very vague, like maybe I'd want to stream at some point. But like Vox locks me in where it's like, all right, these are the 4 hours. I'm doing this to have a time. And I kind of like I do enjoy streaming, but I mostly just enjoy the social aspect because I don't get a lot of people going on. I just kind of like hanging out with my friends, and streaming's a really good way to do that.
Yeah. Like I feel the same way. Where it's Absolutely. Like, it's like I see a lot of people like I almost exclusively, everybody in Willow almost exclusively has spoken to me while I'm live, because I don't hop on the server that often outside of it. I just can't find the time for it, I just can't find the time, and I don't want to I feel guilty when I make progress on like a stream thing off stream. And so it's like, well, there's nothing for me to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's something I get scared of. Is like feeling like I cannot game without thinking about content. Something I had heard from Markiplier was that he doesn't play video games anymore without them recorded because he can't.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't have the time to do it. And then I'm like, Jesus Christ, I don't want to be thinking about content every time I play a game. So there are games specifically that I will play and refuse to stream, because I don't want to turn it into like a content thing. I want to just enjoy the game. I don't want to be forced into content brain while I'm thinking about the game and the story and enjoying this. Instead of just enjoying the game. It's why I don't when I play Balatro, I just stream Balatro. I'll play Balatro by myself because I want to progress on my own, and I have my goals that I do on and off stream. Like I'll get achievements off stream, I'll get achievements on stream, because I'm trying to 100% the game. And some of the bigger things that are left I'm able to stream the things, but I'll make progress on them off stream because I just enjoy playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
And that
Oh, yeah.
I don't ever want to be at a point where I cannot play games without having to say, are we doing this? We're streaming this, right? With like that, I don't want to have to do that ever at all. Because now,
Right.
like when you're with content creators, when you're friends with content creators, you have to specify this is not being streamed because they
Yeah.
will stream it. They will stream it when it's like, oh, it's just personal.
Yeah.
'Cause
No,
they will be
Vox and
like,
I
yeah,
Vox and I face that a little bit where it's just like, I'll pick up a game and it's like, hey, you want to play this together? And he'll be like, oh yeah, sure, let's do that. And then we'll play like 30 minutes of it, and we'll both go like, this would be good on stream. And there are some
yes,
games that I
There are
wish
so many
I had
funny
streamed it,
moments.
but
There's so many funny
Yeah.
moments with it where it's just like, man, I really wish we had I wish we had streamed that, or like we should stop playing this now and play it again on stream instead. And we'll do that
yes,
a lot of the time. But it's so hard because then we sit down afterwards and we finally found some stuff that's like not necessarily like good stream content, but still fun for us to do. You know,
Yeah.
and that's pretty much solved it. Like Dragon Ball Sparking Zero we picked up recently. We've been playing a bit of that back
Ooh.
and forth, and sparring in that is a lot of fun. And so it's just kept us busy because there are so many times where we'd pick up a game together and then go, oh, this is a good stream game, and then it'd go into the stream game category, and then next thing you know, we're sitting there twiddling our thumbs in a VC, just like, well, what do you want to do now? You know? Because
Yeah.
we got nothing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's hard to make that separation, and it's good that you do have that separation.
Yeah. One of those games that I just don't like to stream is Wobble Dogs.
Oh yeah.
I absolutely love Wobble Dogs. I've only streamed it like twice because I just needed to 8-hour stream. But I just like making those little dogs. I love them. They make me really happy. My little fucking disgusting, ugly, horrible radiated creatures. Absolutely. And I love making. But if it were on stream, like it wouldn't be mine, it would be chat and eyes. I just
Yeah.
want something that is mine. Some other games that I just refused to stream were Inscription. I wanted to experience the story just for myself. Because I saw Mark play it. Dude, this game slaps. I want to do this myself. And I played it myself and I finished the game. And I don't want to go back and stream that game.
Oh yeah.
Another example, Papers, Please. I still haven't done a lot with Papers. I'm trying to. I want to get back in playing Papers, Please, but I don't really think I should stream it because like it's so tedious, and I don't think I would be able to properly like give good commentary that would really make it transformative. Something that I've really been aware of as of late, because I'm a big Jax Films fan, is making sure that while I'm playing a game, the content is my own and it's not just playing the game, doing like a walkthrough. I don't want to end up like someone like big creators who just who are just big enough to shit out a video and make money without adding anything to the space. I would like to be transformative and like add something to the game that wasn't there before without me.
Yeah.
So like my quest of 100%ing Balatro is something that I'm adding, is because I'm adding my own personal struggles and personal strife to the game that wasn't there before if you were just watching a playthrough. Like a commentaryless playthrough. Like I have to add something important or something that will make it worthwhile. And like my struggles of failing at Orange, failing at Gold Stake over and over and over, and expressing those in much more detail. Oh fuck! Like going into detail of why I lost, what I should have done, and like my feelings of genuine frustration. I feel like that really transforms that game rather than to be not just like a game I can play on my own, but it's a stream game. I like to play it both on and off stream. So that is really something that I feel like a lot of people don't think about when it comes to being in content creation, because you start to become like very content brained when you play games. Like whenever you play games, you'll think, this is a stream game. I have to stream this. I'm missing out on an opportunity. When you should just relax and play a game, because you're not streaming right now. You're chilling. You should just be able to chill and play a game that you enjoy. Like I like to think of it like when I was a kid and I'd play Call of Duty Black Ops and just be able to shoot bad guys with my big ass sniper rifle and be chilling and not thinking about, damn, this would make a really good YouTube video. But yeah, I miss those days in a way, but I really like, in a positive note, I really like the way I think about gaming and commentary and like media in general, because I have to know that what I'm doing is transformative. I would feel really like guilty if I'm not doing something transformative, because I really support what Jax Films is doing, like with these reaction channels. But like sometimes I'll notice that, yeah, I'm just being silent. I'm not adding anything to this game or gaming experience. So it's a really big motive to up my game, so to speak, when it comes to.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. No, yeah, it's such a thing. It's such a thing, like making sure you're active and speaking, that I hear a lot of people struggle with. That I never really seem to have that much trouble with. There's always something to talk about. There is quite literally always something on my mind, just like blazing through about just like, oh, there's a weird looking chair in the corner over there in this game. But like it's the part that I struggle with is the part that you were talking about, like truly making it your own, where like I'd like the people seeing this stream to think about me when they enter this room and remember this bit when they see that chair. I'd like to leave my little grubby fingerprints in people's brains and get them to, chuckle without me even having to be there, and just leave that little bit of influence. Because not leaving dead air is a task in and of itself. It's very tough not to, occasionally like lock the fuck in, and then it's like, oh, I haven't said anything for 5 minutes. I totally see where people struggle with that, but it's just that next sort of ceiling there of just like getting to the point where not only am I saying things pretty consistently, I'm saying things that catch the ear and saying things that like stick in the brain and get a good laugh, And I find that it very much is like a muscle of just like something that you get and you train over time, and that a lot of people like day to day just don't have that. I interact with a lot of content creators, and so the problem is I'm practically playing pro leagues when it comes to, can I get somebody to giggle right now? Like I was at the voting office. Comedy. Yeah, I was in the voting office, like about to vote, and I was standing in the doorway because they had this big sign of just like how many people have voted today, how many new voters have voted today. Because I love those kind of statistics. I'll stare at that shit forever and think about it. But then I finally step in the door, and the lady at the counter, who was pretending not to notice me, just standing there the whole time, was finally like, "Oh, hi, welcome in. Did you wanna vote today?" And my knee-jerk reaction was a bit that isn't really that funny. It was I thought I might just show up and stand in the door a while. And literally the panel of like 3 to 4 women they had standing in the room in earshot, a full send, complete chuckle. Got it. I got the laugh, and I felt real good about it. But I was like, I left. Boy. Yeah, I left after that, and it's just like, I don't know, those little moments are good for me. I love those. But like, I was like, that was easy. That was really easy.
It's simple.
It's
so simple. It's like, the funniest thing you could do is when somebody asks you to do something that's really easy, is you just say no. You just say no.
Yeah, that's a really good bit. But it's crazy how it's made so much harder. We make it so much harder on ourselves because, like, as somebody who enjoys comedy, I am also guilty of this, in that, like, there are a lot of times where that natural reaction to laugh at a really clever, funny joke is immediately replaced with just, like, the cerebral, like, comedy taking notes part of my brain. I'm just like, and all I can really say about it is, like, yeah, that was funny. Like, that's all I can say when it's like, I genuinely thought it was funny, but, like, I just can't muster the laugh for it. And it's crazy that when you step out into the real world with people who it's like, I like to bag groceries. That's my passion. I'm real good at cashiering. And it's like, that's good for you, pal. I'm about to hit you with like the equivalent of a nuke right now. You know, you're about to get a lethal dose of trying to perform right now. Open the register.
Open the fucking register. I'm going to kill you. Is my favorite thing to say to my grocery store attendants. I love to say it all the time. And that really funny scared look that they get. It's
it's great. Really, just the cherry on top of the bit.
Pull out the real gun. It's such a good prop. And then they tip you afterwards. They tip you like a lot of money. They tip you. It's crazy.
It's wild.
It's insane. They let me walk away with like $2,000 once. It was crazy.
Oh yeah. What I'm trying to say is I love to rob grocery. I love it. It's an integral part of who I am.
Oh god, you just mentioned real actual gun, and I thought about a purchase I've considered making. Not of an actual gun, mind you, but I own so much stupid garbage, dude. I own so much stupid garbage. One of the stupid things, recently, Spirit Halloween is going out of season, and of course, like a couple days ago, they closed. But they were having like a, hey, we don't want to box all this shit up, please take it sale, where it was like everything's 50% off. And so I got like, the essentials. I got like a prop skull to fuck around with. I got this little like squeezable hog. He's like a rubber hog, and you squeeze him and he makes like a little. I don't know. I just own so much stupid garbage like that.
That's beautiful.
And it's just like, it's all fuel. Like I've considered getting one of those like prop guns that like, shoots out the little like bang flag. I've considered getting one of those.
Yes.
Just because it's such a good gag. It's such a good cool
gag
thing to own.
Vox is so like comedy brained, and I just enjoy it because Vox is very comedy brained. I just kind of go along with whatever's happening. I'm a very I'm like a sponge for things around me, and I've happened to have Vox around me often. So I it's like free being a cool guy being around Vox. It's great.
You don't have to, Jed. You don't have to back this shit up by like praising me. Why are you being my hype man right now?
I'm not trying about it. I don't have anything to say. I'm not a comedy guy. I'm just listening to you two who are so passionate, and I'm just like, I say like ligma jokes occasionally.
Those are good though. That's peak. That's fucking
Who
peak.
The hell is Steve Jobs?
Vox. I've seen Vox sit in a Discord call and analyze. George Carlin. And
we've just gone like bit for bit of just like
the tank engine. Don't get me started.
Don't
get me started.
But yeah,
it's
like I've seen Vox like analyze it.
Yeah,
and
there he goes. Now he's on to it.
That's the thing is that I just sit there. I just sit there and I'm just like, all right, I'm glad you're having a good time, Bucks. I'm very just like chilling out. And then we're so different though, because then I'll pull up somebody playing the guitar and being like, look at that, that's fucking incredible. And Vox is like, he's playing a fucking guitar. What are you on about?
Well, no, I'm impressed by music. I'm impressed by music because it might as well be magic to me. It's a skill set that like I've given a fair shake, or I haven't really given a fair shake myself, but like I every time I throw myself at it even a little bit, I just don't immediately like it doesn't click the way other things click for me, and it's just like, this just isn't my art form. It's just very obvious that like, you sit down for a couple hours and it's like, this isn't it's not that like I'm bad at it and just thus don't like it. It's just like it's not really clicking for me, and so music is like magic to me, where it's like the impact that music can have on a person is phenomenal, and like the skill sets involved are great. However, when Jed is just like showing me guitar videos where it's like, oh, look at how well this guy plays, and it's like, yeah, it sounds nice, but like I don't have the capacity to get like the actual skill set here. I don't understand the art. Like I understand that it is an art. I just don't quite have a good grasp on like how the artistry of it works. And I like that. I like music a lot, and I like that it's one of the little mysteries to me of just like it gets to be this cool little thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I've just been like sitting and listening to you guys talk about comedy. But one thing that you brought up to me, especially, and I'm changing this because now Vox isn't going to have much to say. One thing you had brought up to me was that you're a psychology student, and I'm also a psychology student. And I had a couple of questions for you on that front. Are you comfortable talking about that?
Absolutely, I'm comfortable. Very comfortable.
All right. Well, I could start silly, or I could start, more serious. I'm
You
gonna
can
start
go whatever you
silly.
want.
Do you have a favorite study, morbid or otherwise?
Study.
Like some sort of study, like oh god, what's that one with the monkey and the quote unquote mother robot that just gives milk, or the monkey that psychology studies can get real fucked up real quick, and it's kind of funny to have a favorite. So I was wondering if you had one.
I gotta think about that. th- I have to go with Stanford. I have to go with
Stanford?
Stanford. I have to go with Stanford. It's a basic answer, but I have to go with Stanford. Not because of the results, but because that it's totally invalid.
Oh
It's
yeah,
totally invalid.
you wanna
Because
explain what the
Zimbardo,
Stanford? Mhm.
yeah, Zimbardo. So he set up this thing with a group of college students that would be prisoners, a group of college students that would be guards, and they didn't let them organically be manipulative. He commanded them to be manipulative, and then became part of the experiment, and like cheated on his wife with like one of the like people in the experiment. And then once he was approached by his wife, he was like, "Oh shit, what the fuck did I do?" and called it off after like 4 days. It's so fucking hilarious to me that people still like hail the Stanford experiment. Like, yeah, this is really revolutionary. It shows like anyone can become a fascist. No, no,
No.
no.
They were
That's
just
not how it
commanded for
works.
a grade. So the Stanford prison study
The
is
funny thing about
they would take
the Stanford prison experiment is that it could happen to anybody. That's the scary
It could
part.
happen
You
to
could cheat on
anyone.
your wife and botch your entire job.
could.
You could do it.
You could.
The idea of it is that, and this is how it's posed a lot of the times, is that there's this group of students who were prisoners and group of students who were guards, and they were just meant to leave on their own, and you're supposed to see how power corrupts people. And you found that in the prisoner side there were people who had started gangs and like affiliations and things like that, and the guards ended up being like horrifically like mean to their peers who are these quote unquote um prisoners. And it's such a popular study of just like why anybody can do anything bad. And I think it's a better study that just kind of reads more as like anybody will listen to authority to any point. So it's like the professor was just telling them to be mean or to be awful. And I think that leads over to, I can't remember what it is, but it's the study where a scientist takes somebody into a room and then they're told to shock another quote unquote subject if they get an answer wrong to a test. And they run this gambit of this test, and every time they would get a answer wrong, the person on the other side of the room, they would progressively shock them more and more. And it wasn't a real study. It wasn't that. It was only studying the person who's doing the shocking to see how far you would go if you were to be told by authority.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of people who would just give a lethal dose, and after the person taking the test, quote unquote, stopped responding, they were told to keep shocking them, and they did. And I think that's a better lead in to that, but whatever.
I mean, I don't think that experiment would probably pass today because of just the lax ethics of the 50s and 60s was so like influential to a lot of psych experiments. Like, because psych was relatively new. It was a relatively new field, like with Pavlov and all that stuff.
And
50s
Freud
and 60s
and stuff.
psych revolution. Yeah, it was crazy. We can't really do a lot now. I mean, we can do plenty, but like, if we still had the lackadaisic ethics committees of the 60s and 50s, we would know so much.
It's horrific,
We
but
would
you're
know
like,
so much. It would be crazy.
Because like in the 60s we had so many just like horrific studies that went on.
We would know everything.
Yeah. And there would be a lot of hurt people because of it.
Yeah.
But it's like I like starting with that because everybody in psychology that I've met all have had their same like, yeah, this one's really fucked, but I think it's funny because of how fucked it is.
Absolutely.
So I like to start with that. But what brought you into the world of psychology? What did you see in your life that was like, yep, I want to be a psychologist?
Well, There's a few things, I think. One being I love people.
The fat
I
paychecks.
love people. I do love fat paychecks, but I love people, and I love it when they give me their money. But I really do have a love for. I really do, and I'm not sounding, but I love humanity. I think we are the most interesting species on, because we are capable of conscious thought, and we are the only species on capable of metacognition. Thinking about thinking, essentially, which is so fascinating to me, because there had to be an evolutionary reason. Like it just didn't pop into our heads that we're able to think. Like our brains are obviously very complex, but I mean, no other species can do it, or at least that we know of, that we can't do it, because we can't really accurately communicate with chimpanzees. The best we've gotten so far is sign language with gorillas, but they don't ask questions.
Yeah, they don't fully understand it. They just understand that they get something for it.
No, yeah, they don't ask questions. No chimpanzee or gorilla has ever asked a question. It's always us asking. They never ask. And that
You hear that,
is
Coco?
so
You fucking
telling.
fraud!
Coco never asked a question. No, yeah, Coco specifically, all of the other gorillas trained in sign language. It's so telling that they are, and I don't know if this is true, like them communicating amongst each other, but they don't ask. They can't ask. They're incapable of asking a question. So they don't seek knowledge. They just base things on instinct. But humans are able to ask questions and seek knowledge and invent. And I mean, look at where we are now. We live on a planet that grows food. Why the fuck do I have a credit score? What the fuck? Like, really? I mean, outside of the bit, think about it. Why? Why do we need, like, not to get too meta, but like the medium we're on now? Why do we need it? We live on a planet that has fresh water, food, and we are capable of hunting and killing. We have teeth to tear and rip flesh and also eat plants and fruits. So, what about us is so special that we are able to engage in metacognition, ask questions, invent social constructs like gender, like class, like race, like religion? We are able to develop language. In fact, so many languages. When you put different species together, they can't communicate, but we can. But people used to think of different races as like different species, but we know that that is not true now. But it's like if you put two different animals together, they couldn't communicate. But we can take two people who speak different languages and they can communicate despite the differences in where they grew up, where they lived, what languages they speak, what their cultural identity is. They can communicate in other ways besides language. Like you can sort of intuit what people are saying. So, like with a a greeting, they will use their hand, facial expression. You can tell if someone is saying something sad or happy or angry because there are basic universal facial expressions and body language. It's incredible to me that because we are animals at our core. We are literally just creatures. My helping relationship professor put this really well. I want to go into therapy, but you have to really think of the core of it. What does this creature need? And what can this creature get from being in my office? Why is this creature here?
Mm-hmm.
What makes this creature so dysfunctional that it requires another creature to figure out their problems? How does dysfunction start? What is dysfunction? And that's the meat of it. We are built to be this intelligent, tool-wielding, language-using, communicative species. But what causes dysfunction? And what purpose does it serve? Everything has an evolutionary order. I think the same could be said of depression, anxiety, OCD, all of it. Which means at some point, something originated, something mutated, caused it. And these traits passed down and continue to pass. Where do they come from? What is it? What is it about the human condition that causes us to develop conditions like depression, like anxiety, like bipolar disorder? What causes this, and how is this something that a creature has? How is this like something that a creature, because we can't diagnose a monkey with it. We can't diagnose a polar bear with OCD. How would you? How would you diagnose a polar bear with any mental disorder? You can't. It's impossible. It's near impossible. The only thing you can really tell is physical disfigurement. And we have those too. Just plain old mutation and like accidents and all of that. But when you go into your brain and specifically just like brain function that is disrupted, and you really go into the core of it, it is a lot of chemical imbalance. It is a lot of that stuff. It's a lot of environmental factor that causes it as well, along with social factors. Because a kid can be born without depression, without anxiety, and develop it later on because of these social and environmental factors. That always fascinated me. It's crazy. Dysfunction is a crazy concept when you read to it. When you really look into it, it's really like interesting to me, and I want to. It's like a puzzle that I really want to solve, and I love it so much. I love picking people's problem about their problem. You know, it's insane.
That just inherent curiosity into the human mind is it's really like incredible. For me, I have a very different reason of being interested in psychology, and it's that I was in a rough patch, and I would like to help people in the same way that I was helped. But like it is really incredible your like absolute curiosity for it, because even me, who's a psychology student, can easily just be like, oh, just how the human mind is. You know?
Absolutely.
And like it's just a very incredible thing to be going into it. And I guess for other psychology students like me who don't really have that as much of that drive as you do you have any advice for them who would want to pursue a psychology degree?
Nearly everything boils down to psychology. A lot of careers benefit from it. So even if you don't want to go into medical or therapeutic or clinical fields, a psychology degree can help you out in a lot of different areas. And in a lot of areas that you probably are interested in. Like sales, like real estate, like a lot of different areas, like real estate. For example, you have to learn how to appeal to a human being. Like you don't inherently know how to sell a house. You need to know what works and what doesn't. And to do that, you need to know why. And that boils down to psychology. sales positions. You have to make calls. You have to appeal to a random citizen who you've never met before in order to make a sale. Police work. It's crazy. You have to manage your community. You have to understand your community. That's another. Anthropology is an interesting realm to go into. Sociology is incredibly well. So with anthropology, you learn community's culture. You learn what separates your community from other communities, what customs and religion and everything your community a lot, and you adjust policing to that. What else is there? I mean, social work, like being a foster parent, being in like drug counseling, in governmental work as well, like courts, like being a lawyer. Like obviously you have to have a law degree, lawyer, but psychology really helps with it because you're able to persuade as a lawyer. You need to understand how to persuade, and persuasion is a big part of psychology. It's a really big part. So even if you're not going to be in the psychological alone, I am, being a psych degree, having a psych degree and understanding it, and then getting a minor in like business, in law, in crimj, in Engsci, in anything in business, like economy, you will succeed because people are looking for people who understand the target demographics, like their specific selling points. Like people, sorry, I ramble on. A little bit, like people understanding their target consumers. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for. Understanding consumer bases is a big part of psychology, big part of sales. And that's where a lot of careers overlap with psychology, sociology, anthropology. So knowing a lot about that is really helpful in the job field.
Oh yeah. So just finding a way to connect psychology to what you're also passionate in is a very good place to start. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Do you have anything else you would like to say about psychology?
Stay curious. I mean, there an interesting thing that I've learned in my time in psychology is a very interesting fact. Nearly every 3 years, most of what we know becomes obsolete. And that's not a bad thing. That is not a bad thing. It's the opportunity to learn and discover and understand and disprove or prove specific theories that you like or are interested. I mean, most theories and ideas, like, for example, Lev Vygotsky, and the zone of proximal development. Something that educational professionals use all the time. Most don't have a degree in psychology, but have to use it because that's what most modern American systems are built around, is scaffolding and the zone of proximal development. So being able to prove it every single day in a classroom is important. Or finding different ways to teach that go outside of that zone, or disproving the zone itself, is a great thing because, you know, maybe there is a better way to teach that isn't based on scaffolding or the zone of proximal development. There might be. And I personally, I don't know of it. I'm a big Vygotsky follower. I think that he was right on the mark with the zone, with the ZPD, with scaffolding, all of that, especially with work in special education. But I think Vygotsky had it great, but maybe he's wrong, and maybe you're the one to prove it. You never know. Staying curious and staying open to new ideas is something that is very important.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. And that stretches far beyond psychology, but it's a very good thing to keep in mind with psychology because, you know, the whole basis is why. You know, I joke a lot about, because like I think psychologists are probably some of the most like patient and observant and like learning, like actively learning people that I know, just because like the brain is like the ocean in that like there's a lot of it left unexplored, except it's all just these pathways of thoughts and ideas that you can't quite like you can't ever quite be done with. It just spirals infinitely of just like, oh well, why and why am I here, and what is ambition? What does it mean to be ambitious? Why do I want more than I can have? Why do I have what I have?
Yes.
Why am I? Even when you get down to like even like the core of it, there's still more to drill to. There's still deeper to go. And I find it insanely fascinating, for a bunch of guys who like are like just never left that like 3-year-old why phase, because it's a good spot to be constantly just
It
in
really
questioning of everything you see.
It really is. Absolutely.
It's an interesting and fascinating thing to see people like that, because I'm just not like that in that like I'm not quick to just like accept things as they are, but like once I've got a pretty good idea of like how something ticks or why it ticks, one or the other, I'm pretty much good. That satisfies my curiosity fairly well. So when I see people like you who have like such like a large appetite for that sort of thing, of just like, oh, I'm never done, I'll keep going, I got more questions to ask.
Oh yeah.
It's always
There's
interesting to me.
There's never a shortage of questions to be asked, and you can always ask the same questions and then get a different answer than the last time you asked it. And that's what I love about psychology. Like I said, every 3 years everything is obsolete. And then another interesting thing is something that people have discussed, like if we were going to measure 0% on a ruler, and that ruler is the entirety of like knowledge of the human brain, where would we be right now? The answer was half a centimeter. Half a centimeter. So there are always, and there will always be, new questions. I might not have phrasing right, but the idea is still there. Half a out of 12 feet,
Right.
we have half a centimeter. Half.
That's wild.
So there will always be questions to be asked. So questions that chances are human beings will never think about. Never think about in their lifetime. There's so much knowledge. There's a term for it. It's called infobesity. Infobesity. The excess, the large, vast amount of information that would take a millennium to decipher. And that is the human brain. The information about the human brain is categorized as infobesity. It's infobesity. It's so vast that it would take multiple lifetimes. If you knew what questions to ask and how to find out the answers, it would take you many, many lifetimes to find those answers. Hell, probably not long enough for the Earth to be around to find those answers. Like the Earth would be long gone before you find out everything there is to know about the human brain. So always ask why. It's an important thing, and I love that you brought that up.
Yeah. Well, there's our psychology little break that we had.
No, and it's great. It's great to just it's I don't really mind when I don't have a terrible amount of input on the show, especially when such like an active conversation is going on. I love when we can branch out a little bit, because I feel like for such a variety show, we don't really get all the variety we could necessarily in.
Oh yeah.
And so it's good.
Yeah.
It's good to have these like niche moments, because I love just like kind of asking questions that are very like base level and very easy to answer, and just letting the guest guide the episode. Because there's some questions where one guest will just go, yeah, I don't know, I think this, that's my whole answer.
Yeah.
And then other guests will like, that'll become the next hour of the show, is talking about like whatever inane question we started with an hour ago. And so it's so much fun, because I feel like traditional interview shows where they sort of just like, all right, you've answered that question, nice 2 minutes, let's keep going, next one. It doesn't really like, I feel that like you're not really utilizing the person you have in front of you, of like, you sit somebody down and lock them in for for a 2-hour show, it's just like, people are gonna want to, hear from them, because it's like, if this is a guy you can have here for 2 hours, then you're gonna want to hear from him, and you're gonna want to ensure that like you utilize that to the fullest. And it's always great to have those sorts of conversations where like, in my mind, the perfect podcast guest episode is an episode where like the hosts fill as little of the time as possible.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, no, we're mostly just here to keep things on track. But speaking of tracks and your little like train tiff and whatnot earlier, and you do content creation, you do psychology stuff. Do you have any other hobbies? What fills the rest of the time that you have in like
I
a
thought
day?
this was gonna be a question about Thomas the Tank Engine.
This
ready to spill the lore.
This is not
I was ready
directly
to spill
about
the
Thomas
lore.
the Tank Engine.
I was ready to spill the lore, Vox. You
We can
almost
talk
fucked it
about
up,
Thomas.
but we'll talk. Maybe we'll talk about Thomas the next time I'm on. We'll
for
save
sure,
that for
for
another
sure.
episode. Hobbies. I like to play orgs. I like to do Survivor and Big Brother orgs, which are online reality games, and I have never won.
Oh,
I haven't won. I've been playing them for. I've been playing them for. Jesus Christ. I've been playing them for 7 years, and I still have not won.
crazy!
It is, and genuinely, it is the most like self-esteem draining thing I have in now. It upsets me to no end because I love Survivor, I love Big Brother, and I can't win.
Mhm.
And I cannot win, and it pisses me off. The closest I've gotten is 4th place in a Big Brother org. It was all I had to do like 3 more comps.
Bad.
If I could win 3 more comps, I would have won the game. For sure, I would have won the game. I had to win 1 veto and 2 parts of an HOH. And I would have won. I would have won the game because I had played such a great game, a great competition game, a great social game. Strategic, a little lacking. But if I had my pick of who I was taking, I would have squashed them in the final because they had not done a lot. But I absolutely love Big Brother. I absolutely love Survivor. It's some of my favorite things in my life. I also love a lot of wrestling. I like to watch wrestling. I like to a lot of my character work is also based on wrestling and wrestling promos. Specifically, a lot of CM Punk promos, a lot of John Cena promos. I know that's like basic answer, John Cena. But John Cena's great at promos. There's a reason why he's one of the most
there's a reason,
wrestling.
that he's like the wrestling guy. He's like the guy that
Yes,
everybody
he is
thinks of.
the wrestling
in that,
guy besides
in that
The Rock.
world. Yeah.
Yeah, besides The Rock, it's him. And
I'd argue people don't even think
arguably-
of The Rock for wrestling anymore, traditionally.
I think they used to,
Which
and
is
then they
weird.
stopped. But with Cena, it's like
Oh, yeah.
now he's an actor, but he's still a wrestler, and he's going on his tour now. He's retiring next year from in all in ring action. He's retiring. But I think John Cena is one of the greatest promos. I think John Cena is one of the greatest promos of all time. There we go. Jesus Christ. I don't know what's wrong with my mic like recently. It's been just cutting out. But John Cena, whether he used it for good or bad, he would destroy careers. Like specifically the example that we like to bring up is Nexus. And he came out there. There's supposed to be this very intimidating force from NXT. And he goes out there and he eviscerates them to the point of no comeback. They essentially had to disband like later that year because nobody could get into them at all because John Cena totally and completely eviscerated them verbally. It's crazy. He broke them down completely.
Wild.
Another person he definitely did that to was Roman Reigns, who now we think of as like the big guy on campus in WWE right now.
Right.
But during the early parts of Roman's solo career in WWE, he was not very good at promos. His in-ring skills were mediocre, but he was being pushed as the main guy, and a lot of audience were very rightfully upset about it because they wanted either Dean Ambrose or Seth Rollins
or maybe even CM Punk to be the main guy, because Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose, lengthy indie careers, same with CM Punk. They were proven promo guys, proven in-ring performers, but Roman just had the look. He was very marketable to young children and to women specifically, because that is who WWE's target audience at that point were, children. And old school wrestling fans hated it. So they would go to these shows specifically to fill the arena with boos whenever Roman Reigns stepped foot in the arena. No matter what. Christ. He was a face. He won the 2015 Royal Rumble. Like, he was supposed to get this really big reaction, and The Rock came out and held his hand up. Boos. Long further than the eyes. Boos. A sea of boos just erupts. It's crazy. Super Eye Patch Wolf, really good video about this exact character, and that being the moment where Roman Reigns could not recover no matter what. And I really would recommend it. I really recommend Super Eye Patch Wolf's video called The Unreality of Wrestling, which really digs into Roman Reigns' story and how the audience plays a role in the storytelling of wrestling, because wrestling is the only fictional universe that takes place within our own universe. Because those guys are playing characters.
Right.
If you didn't know. If you didn't know, it's all fake. No, it's not all fake.
Oh, shit.
No.
Oh,
No,
come on.
I wouldn't say it's fake. I'm not going to say it's fake because it's not. I bet. Yeah. But it's not fake. It's more of it's theater.
Right.
You wouldn't describe theater as fake, but yeah. When you think of that sort of thing, and that's what I like to bring into my character for Willow, is bringing things that happen in real life and sort of molding them. Well, how can I use this this current event to my advantage and make sure that I can use it in not only a appropriate way, but use it to make the story better, to make the story more grounded. And that's what a lot of WWE, what they've been doing recently, really love.
Well, yeah, I mean, WWE is something I know nothing about.
Yeah, I only know WWE tangentially through I have a lot of friends that are into WWE. Obviously, I grew up in the 2000s, which was and a point in time where John Cena was on every single T-shirt known to man, and wrestling as a whole was just unavoidable at that point in time. And so it's a thing where I know a thing or two about a thing or two, and I also appreciate I really appreciate the theater and the craft of it. And watching those men do what they do, and hearing little anecdotes about bits that were improv, or things that weren't done until last minute, or times when Vince McMahon had a fucking insanely batshit idea and then everybody just kind of had to make it happen for him. That kind of thing is it's something that I love to engage with every now and again, but it's not something I've ever taken that full head first dive into. But it's a world that I heavily admire, and a thing that I love to death. But no, wrestling's fucking dope.
It's great.
What else is great this episode, man? It's been great having you on.
It absolutely has. One of the top, probably easily in the top 3 for guests we've had. I'd say. I don't want to rank anybody. I'm not gonna rank anybody, but easily up there is one of the greats for keeping the conversation.
I appreciate. I hope to be on again
to the table.
Hell
yeah, we'd love to have you at some point. Where
can we find you elsewhere?
Where you can find me is twitch.tv/_JAKE, and then there's a little line that's called an underscore, if you didn't know. And then there's STONE, Jake _Stone on twitch.tv. And then on Twitter, you can find me at Jake _Stone 1118.
There's 3 ones and then an 8, and then the Twitch name.
Do you have
before
a card or a link tree we could put down below? If not, we can just put those.
I don't have a link tree. I just have the links there.
All right, yeah.
Like we talked about earlier, I don't have one of those.
We'll go straight to Twitch.
I
We'll
raw
throw your
dog
Twitch
it. I raw
below.
dog it. It's crazy.
Yeah, we'll do
Absolutely.
your Twitch and your Twitter down below.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can find our stuff on a card and a link tree, respectively. Vox on a card, mine on a link tree. You can check us out. You can check out this episode and every other episode every Sunday at 3 p.m. And yeah, you got any closing thoughts, Jake Stone?
You know, you gotta drive fast, make things last, and eat ass. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.